How to grow ornamental flowering kale plants. Flowering or ornamental kale, Brassica oleracea, is edible, similar to the non-ornamental kind grown for its edible leaves, but it has been hybridized to produce colorful leaves to brighten up your garden. The plants grow to a height of 6 to 12 inches and a width of 12 to 18 inches. Healthy, happy ornamental kale will reach its full height within a few months with firm leaves that are often ruffled or frilly along the edges. The center leaves are colorful, but the outer leaves are green. Part 1: Creating an ideal growing environment. 1. Plant ornamental kale where it will be exposed to at least 6 hours of sunlight. In cooler climates, an area with full sun exposure, where it gets 8 to 10 hours of direct sunlight is fine. In areas where summer temperatures commonly exceed 80 degrees Fahrenheit 27 degrees Celsius, plant it in a spot where it will get 6 hours of sunlight in the morning and shade in the afternoon. Ornamental kale are annuals, so they only last one season or year. They grow best in the cooler weather of spring and fall. If the ornamental kale does not get enough sunlight, it will grow slowly and the center leaves will not develop their bright colors. 2. Do not worry about frost. These plants will commonly continue to thrive in the fall in spite of frost and can survive well into winter in milder climates. In fact, they thrive when temperatures drop to below 60 degrees Fahrenheit 16 degrees Celsius. When planted in early spring, they might survive the summer to flourish again in the fall in cooler climates or when planted in a garden that is shaded from the afternoon sunlight. 3. Use any soil type, as long as it drains quickly. Ornamental kale will not do well in slow, draining clay soil. If the garden soil is clay, build a 1-foot-high raised bed for the ornamental kale and fill it with sandy or loamy soil. Soil pH is not an issue for this annual. 4. Enrich the soil with organic matter before planting. Use 3 to 6 inch layer of organic matter such as well-aged cow manure, compost, sphagnum peat moss, leaf mold or decomposed pine bark mulch. Mix the organic matter into the garden soil with a rototiller. If the organic matter is not thoroughly mixed into the garden soil, it could interfere with water movement, creating pockets of wet organic matter and dry soil. Part 2: Planting and watering. 1. Purchase ornamental kale seedlings at a local nursery or start them from seed at home. They can be planted in the garden in early spring around the time of the last frost or in late summer. Start the seeds either directly in the garden when temperatures are above 65 degrees Fahrenheit 18 degrees Celsius or indoors about 1 month before planting them outdoors. 2. Plant seeds indoors in potting mix designed for seed germination. A good mix contains 1/3 sphagnum peat moss, 1/3 soil and 1/3 coarse sand, perlite or vermiculite. Pour the potting mix into the flat, level it and moisten it with room temperature water. 3. Spread the seeds over the soil at a rate of about 1 seed per inch. Do not cover them with soil as ornamental kale seeds require exposure to sunlight in order to germinate. Instead, press the seeds into the soil lightly with the palm of your hand. Keep the soil evenly moist. The seeds will germinate in about 10 days. Thin out the sprouts once they are a few inches tall, to 1 seedling per 3 to 4 inches. Keep only the sturdiest looking plants. 4. Plant seedlings in the garden 1 to 1.12 feet apart. Spread a 2 to 3 inch depth or organic mulch over the soil around the ornamental kale plants to help keep the soil moist and control weed growth. Thin them once they are a few inches tall, to 1 plant per 1 to 1.12 feet. Water them as often as necessary to keep the soil lightly moist but muddy. 5. Be sure to water ornamental kale when the top of the soil begins to dry. Use a soaker hose or garden hose with a sprinkle-type nozzle to water them below the leaves in order to keep the leaves as dry as possible. Water them in the morning so that any water that does get on the leaves will dry throughout the day. Give them 1 to 2 inches or 3 to 6 gallons, 11.4 to 22.7 L, of water each time. The easiest way to measure how much water is being given with a soaker hose is to place a 1-inch deep can next to the plants. When the can is full, the plants have received about 1 inch of water. Too much water will cause ornamental kale leaves to turn yellow and drop. Not enough water will cause the leaves to wilt. Part 3: Fertilizing and Harvesting. 1. Use fertilizer that has a balanced 10-10-10 ratio. Apply the fertilizer about 3 weeks after planting. Sprinkle about 1/4 pound of fertilizer per 25 square feet on the soil around the kale plants. Do not get fertilizer on the plants as it could burn the leaves. If fertilizer does get on the plants by accident, wash them off right away with clear water from the garden hose. Ornamental kale plants that do not get fertilizer will grow more slowly and may not develop their bright colors. 2. Water the plants thoroughly after spreading the fertilizer. This will help wash the fertilizer down to the roots. 3. Harvest the plants 55 days after the seedlings are transplanted into a garden. You should also harvest ornamental kale 70 to 80 days after the seeds are planted. 4. Use sharp scissors to cut the leaves when they are 8 to 10 inches tall. Remove the outermost leaves first. All of the leaves can be cut back to a height of 2 inches. The plants will grow new leaves in a week or 2. 5. Be sure to harvest the leaves promptly or they will get tough. Ornamental kale leaves taste quite bitter. To reduce their bitterness, boil them twice using fresh water each time or boil them once and then cook them in olive oil. Part 4: Getting rid of pests. 1. Don't worry about your kale contracting diseases or attracting many pests. Ornamental kale is not generally bothered by pests or diseases, but caterpillars and aphids occasionally attack them. 2. Pick off any caterpillars and drop them in a bucket of soapy water to drown them. Caterpillars will munch on the kale's leaves, leaving very distinct rounded holes on the leaves or half circles along the edges. Wear protective gloves when picking caterpillars. Some of them can inflict a painful sting. 3. Remove any aphids with a strong spray from a garden hose. The forceful spray of water will usually crush and kill them. Aphids are small, soft-bodied insects that pierce the ornamental kale leaves with their mouths and suck out the juices. These little pests can be nearly any color but are often green or red. They also secrete a clear, sticky liquid called honeydew and can often be found on the undersides of the leaves. Be sure to spray the undersides of the leaves to get rid of any hidden aphids. If the aphids return, spray them again. They may need to be sprayed every few days for a week or 2 to get severe infestations under control. Always spray ornamental kale in the morning so the leaves will dry quickly during the day.